There are three reasons why oil prices dropped. BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street. They have majority shares, voting rights in 88% of the companies that make the S&P 500 index. We're talking about the 500 top companies. They have majority voting rights in 88% of this company. 88%. That gives them a total control of 70% of the entire market in its entirety. With that kind of power, you could write your own paycheck. You could dictate and determine where the market is heading with that kind of control. The market sell-off. This is what I believe, okay? And so here's the thing. The Biden administration is very much involved with BlackRock. Biden ties to BlackRock deepen within the latest Treasury hire. Many of their hirees, okay, let's not say many, but some of the people they've hired were senior management for BlackRock. They're involved. These guys are in bed together, okay? Here's the thing. The higher oil prices go, it greatly reduces our economy, causes inflation. It reverses all the efforts of the Biden administration and makes them look really bad the higher oil prices go. The higher oil prices go, the more funding available for the war in Ukraine, for the war in Israel, for the war in Syria, for the war in the Middle East. The more money these tyrants, the Putin mafia, the more money they have, the more missiles they could buy, and it exasperates our wars. And the more money we have to spend on military, and it's a thing that you can't. It's a dog chasing its tail. It gets worse and worse and worse. I truly believe that the Biden administration or somebody in the powers that be said, "Hey, let's cause oil prices to crash. Let's get it to crash down to $50 a barrel." And so the powers that be that control 70% of the market, they did a massive market sell-off. But guess what? It didn't work. Oil prices, right now, WTI crude is $77 per barrel and Brent crude is $81.40. I truly believe that Putin, Iran, Saudi Arabia, deep down, they're relieved and they're laughing all the way to the bank. And the powers that be are scratching their heads like, how do we control this thing? And if you look at, and here's, the West has gone to war with oil, okay? If you look at ESG, what is sustainable investing? Strategies with environmental and social and/or governance, ESG, objectives, themes, and related considerations as a principal means for selecting investments. So the principal means of selecting investments has to be under the category of the ESG. ESG is basically an anti-oil agenda. If you look at all the major investment institutional firms out there, they're going to have something that talks about ESG. And if you go down the rabbit hole of ESG, the guys that run ESG is the United Nations. If you go down that rabbit hole, who controls the United Nations? You'll see Rockefellers, you'll see Ford, you'll see Bill Gates, you'll see Jeff Soros, Ford Motor Company, various other large entities. And so what is their agenda? Well, the market is not just oil. It's real estate. It's Apple. It's Google. It's technology. It's pharmaceutical. It's many other things. In the financial institution, the ability to print money is the most powerful asset they have. If you could print money, you could have the biggest military and the most advanced weaponry, and you could put it in the hands of all of your guys. If Iran had the ability to do what we can do, every infidel would be dead. America would cease to exist. If Putin had the ability to do what we can do, he would own Ukraine. He would own the whole world. Okay? So you got to understand the power that we have is simply the ability to print. But the higher the price of a barrel of crude goes, the higher the inflation, and it removes the ability to just print as much as we want. It shuts down our economy, and if we don't have a good economy, our dollar's worth nothing. It's not backed by gold. It's backed by our economy. The economy is moving. It's a moving needle. Gold just sits there. You either have enough gold to back your dollar. If you print more than the gold that you have, your dollar inflates. So instead of gold, we have an economy. In the economy, we could just say, hey, it's doing great. Okay, our dollar's worth more. Our economy's doing bad. Okay, your dollar's worth less. So the higher oil prices go, it offsets our economy. We could have a booming economy, but then cause oil prices to go to $200 a barrel. It becomes too expensive to exist in America. Gas prices are higher, food costs go up, travel costs go up. All of a sudden, it destroys our economy. And so how do you save a failing administration? By causing the economy to surge, bringing security to the Middle East, causing your campaign promises to happen, which is shutting down oil, going green. And so how do you do this? Cause the price of a barrel of crude to crash. That's their only option. It ends the wars. It reduces inflation. It causes an increase in the economy, so on and so forth. And so we saw what happened with this whole green energy agenda. I mean, they have to spend $70 trillion to transition. That ain't happening. You look what happened to the offshore wind deal in New Jersey, off the shore of New Jersey. That thing fell apart. The Ford Motor Company and Tesla and a lot of these large EV companies that invested big in EV, they're losing their asses. We don't want to buy those electric cars. We like our gas-powered cars. I said, who's going to buy it? And look what happened. So the Biden administration is losing on every front. And so this is what I see happening. Here's the deal. Fundamentals, right now, oil is at 77 and Brent crude is 81. Fundamentally speaking, oil should be at 100 right now, but it's not. All the analysts said oil is going to be at 100. Well, they're fundamentally correct, but they didn't but they didn't know that the big three was going to cause this market sell-off, okay? And so nobody expected oil prices to drop in the middle of a Middle Eastern war when Iran is threatening an oil embargo and we're threatening sanctions on Iran, losing 2 million barrels of oil a day in addition to what we've lost with OPEC curbing production and the potential of losing even more, okay? And so Putin, I mean, Jesus, we're playing in the hands of Putin. I mean, Putin, it's doing everything he wants it to do. Because we're focusing on Israel, we're focusing on the Middle East. We're taking resources from what we normally spend on Ukraine and the attention that we give to Ukraine, and we're transferring it to the Middle East, to Israel. I mean, it's good for Putin. It's good for Putin because oil prices, it puts upward pressure on oil prices. Very good for Putin. So war in the Middle East makes it enriches the Middle East. Iran could care less about the death of people. I mean, think about it. If Iran kills Americans, it increases the war, putting a higher price on the barrel of crude. It pleases his God, Allah, because he's killing the infidels, and he's pleasing his base, which he doesn't have a base because he didn't get voted in. He doesn't care. But who's his base? Putin and some other puppeteers, some other power brokers, the Middle East, whoever. So here's the deal. The longer you keep prices lower, and when I say lower, I'm talking about fundamentally speaking, oil prices should be higher. But because of manipulation, oil prices are lower. So the longer you keep the price of oil lower than the fundamentals say they should be, you're kicking this thing down the road, and it's only going to exacerbate a situation in the event that OPEC does make a move that cuts off the West from oil, or we sanction the hell out of Iran, or what have you. Because all this does, the price of a barrel of crude, the higher it is, the more we drill. The lower it is, the less we drill. Shale oil needs much higher oil prices to be very profitable. Shale oil, I mean, we increased production from 2012 to 2019 by 7 million barrels of oil. We averaged 1 million barrel a day increase, okay? Now, oil prices dropped because the market didn't know what to do with an additional 7 million. It just seemed like it was overnight, okay? Now the market is used to this 13 million barrel a day. Now in COVID, because of COVID, we lost several million barrels of oil, but we're back to pre-COVID levels. back to 13 million. Now, everyone's saying, hey, we're the new kingpin in town. No, you're not. I mean, the effect of us being at 13 million today doesn't compare to the days of 2019. Okay, number one, the market wasn't ready to increase by 7 million. OPEC wasn't ready for it either. Nobody was ready for 7 million barrels a day from America. Nobody expected it. It's impossible because we ran out of conventional oil, but then we found an unconventional source using fracking technology, and nobody expected it. Okay, had a wow factor. The markets were shocked, and the market said, "Oh, we have too much oil," and the market believed that we had too much oil, and then in the market's oil price of barrel of crude crashed down to $50-something a barrel. Fast forward to today, the markets have accepted that Shale is in town, and Shale produces a lot of oil, and we are producing 2 million barrels a day more. Our demand for oil is 2 million barrels a day more today than it was in 2019. Okay, so the fact that we're producing 13 million barrels a day isn't impressing the markets, and it's not really affecting the price of a barrel of crude. Of course, if Shale dropped down to 8 million, it would greatly increase the price of a barrel of crude. Okay, but my point is that it doesn't compare to 2019. Okay, and not only that, I mean, here's the deal. I mean, we really didn't increase oil that much because all they did is flip back on wells that were shut off, because a lot of shale companies went out of business because of COVID, a lot of supply issues and several other factors. And so you've got Chevron, you've got Exxon that are acquiring big shale companies. Why? Because they went overseas and they lost their asses. I mean, these governments are evil. They find these huge developments, and the government comes and say, hey, that's our oil. Get the hell out of here, punk. And they can't do anything about it. I mean, unless they have tanks and weapons or whatever, there's nothing they can do about it. So they said, well, Exxon was like, hey, what can we, Pioneer, let's buy them. Let's produce more oil. And so I believe that Pioneer increased their production. Okay, you could get a well to produce more oil than what it should be producing, and in their shelf life goes from 20 years to 5 years. I believe that they increase production, a lot of these to be more valuable on paper, and they were bought out, and they said, screw you guys, I'm out of here. Okay, they could care less, but so now you've got the most powerful oil companies in the world control majority of the shale patch, which says to me, the decline of oil is going to come, and the peak productions come much quicker than before, than if you had smaller mom and pop controlling the shale industry, because you're going to have a lot more capital going towards that. Okay. So here's the deal. Iran is not going to stop. They're not going to, the Biden administration may or may not sanction Iran. I think at some point we're going to go to war with Iran. I think Iran, they're striking the iron while it's hot, while tensions are high. The Ayatollah is like, it's either now or never. He's old. He could care less. He doesn't care. You think differently when you get old and you're about to leave this earth. He doesn't care. And the scary part is that, so like in America, it takes a lot of people to drop a nuclear bomb. I mean, there's many people with the keys. They have to turn at the same time. You have to have the approval of Congress. You have to have approval of the president. And then the individuals. The Ayatollah there's only one button, and there's only one decision maker, and he can just do whatever the hell he wants to do. And that's very dangerous. And that's why Russia's the way they are, and that's why Iran's the way they are. So I truly believe that Russia, Iran, and I believe that Saudi Arabia wants it to happen too. I think they're going to go to war, not just from a material, physical standpoint with missiles and bombs, but I think they're going to go to war with the financial powers of America, and that's why they formed BRICS. But BRICS didn't work. They tried to prop up BRICS to cause the value of the dollar to drop. It didn't work. Our institutions are just too powerful. The dollar is just too powerful. They're still selling oil in U.S. currency. They thought they could bypass it. It's working somewhat, but it's not near as good as it was going to be. The power brokers of the world tried to crash oil prices in America. That didn't work either. Oil is the Rocky Balboa, and nobody could beat it, and we need it. And this is the most powerful. This is favorable for the Middle East because we all need oil. We need it. America doesn't have enough oil to live off its own. We don't. I don't care what shell companies tell you. I don't care what the Republicans tell you. We don't have enough oil. We'd have to reduce our demand substantially. We'd have to increase our ability to refine sweet crude, light sweet crude. Our refineries are set up for heavy crude because of we've been importing oil from Saudi Arabia for so long. We're set up for heavy Saudi crude. And that's why we import a lot of oil from Canada, because they have these heavy tar sands. So our refineries are already set up for that kind of oil. So we don't have the time or the capital to convert our infrastructure to be able to handle Shale fast enough. So if they cut us off from oil, we are screwed. We're up the creek with no paddle. And if we go to war with Iran, that's the first thing they're going to do. I wouldn't be surprised if Iran, in retaliation to going to war with Iran, them dropping a bomb on Saudi key oil facilities, that puts them offline. And the reason why is because you got two different kinds of Muslims, the Sunni Muslims and the, anyways, I don't remember. They're a different kind of religion. It'd be like here, the Catholics going against I guess the Christians or something. I don't know. And so Iran, Saudi Arabia and Iran are at war. I mean, that would be an option. Okay. But the most obvious thing here is Iran wants to start a war with America because that's what their God is telling them to do, to destroy the infidels. And also it props up the price of a barrel of crude. All right, guys, tell me what you think in the comments. Tell me if you think I'm way off, you think I'm an idiot, or tell me, hey, Sean, you're onto something, or this is what I think. I'd love to hear I'd love to hear from my base. I'd love to hear comments. I'd love to hear your opinions out there. All right, guys, I'm Sean Pruitt, president of Kingdom Exploration. If you like this channel, please subscribe, and we'll talk soon. Thanks.